are going to be doing another Gmic short tutorial. This tutorial might be a little bit longer due to the fact because we're going to make a end result image off of one of the filters. The filters that we are going to be using is the felt pen and the fractalize filters. We're only going to be doing two today. I was going to do 4 of them, but I think it's just going to take too long. And so the felt pen is a awesome filter in Gmic. So we got this real life picture of this flower here, and I ran through the filter in Gmic, and you can see the results. It looks like it's drawn with a felt pen, and the result is pretty awesome. I like the effect of it. And then I did it again on these wings just to show. These wings are not real wings; they're painted, and I just ran through the filter, and this is what they look like after the filter. So they look more hand drawn. As you can see, if I zoom way in here, I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom in, by the way. You hold down control and use your mouse wheel. I have mine set up to where I just could use the mouse, scroll up and down. But if you look in here, you see all these felt pin marks on where the wings are supposed to be. So if I turn this off, turn this one on, you see how the wings are. So if I turn that on, off, on, so it's a pretty cool effect, and you can get a real like cartoony drawing looking effect on, like I did this example, on a real life photo. So that's a real life flower, and then so it's pretty cool. I like the effect. And then the fractalize filter, I don't hardly ever use it for anything. I came up with an example of what you could use it. We're using Amanda Seifeld. Uh, I can't pronounce her last name. So, but anyways, we're using this image, and the fractalize filter, it's just got one setting, and I don't know what the algorithm and stuff, we'll get into that here in just a minute, but I don't find very many uses for it unless you want to make some kind of abstract background or something like that, but besides that I don't really use it. So like I said, I just came up with this end result. So here's the original image, and then we're going to turn on after the fractalize filter, and you see it's just blown out. It looks crazy, but I did that, and then I added the image again, and then we'll work through here, and I'll just show you the end result of this image. Bam! And this is the one that's going to take the most time. That's the reason why I'm not doing more filters today. But I liked the effect after doing all the rest of this stuff to it. I like the effect. It's got this little kind of way overexposure effect here in the background, and it's got a little bit on her face. It kind of gives it like an overexposure look. So it's pretty cool. But like I said, I don't find very many uses for it, but it is in there. So I'm going to go through and show you one use case scenario for it. So we're going to go ahead and get started with, and we'll start out with the flower. And like I said, it's just a picture of a flower with a transparent background. And all we're going to do is just go up to Filters, Gmic, and Felt Pen, and these are the settings that I had for this. If you want to take note of them, it's on 300. For the amplitude, density is 61.94, smoothness is 0.97, opacity is 0.10, edge is 12.31, thickness is at 4, preview type is at full. So I'm going to go ahead and reset these back to the default so we can talk about them a little bit. So it's reset on default, and at default, if I move this around, and if you don't know about Gmic, and most time when you pop it up, your preview window is going to be super small, and this felt pen filter works pretty quick for me, so I went ahead and up the size of the preview window. If you want it to render out faster, just keep it at the default tiny and it'll render faster. But down here is where you change the preview sizes. So you got tiny, small, normal, and large. I got mine on normal. But this is the results from just the stock settings. And you got your amplitude, and if you raise the amplitude up, you'll see that it works through its algorithm and it bumps up more. Basically, this felt pen, it's the setting, and then it's kind of, I guess, fractals or something that's working in there, and it adds more amplitude to them, which that means it makes it more, a little bit more crazier looking and stuff. So that's at 567 there. Maybe we'll keep that setting for now because I like some of these darker harsh lines we're getting here on these ends. And we'll go mess with the density. And the density, of course, is you know, how dense of uh, the effect you want. So if we turn this down, I don't know, let's say 0.2, you'll see that there's hardly any of the felt pin effect, which is, I think it's basically just fractals and some other algorithm, but there's barely any there, and the background of the image is white, so we'll bump that back up. It was on 0.5, so let's try, I don't know, let's try 0.6 and see how that looks. I'm sorry, it was on 50, so let's go to 60 and hit enter. I'm sorry about that. And there you go. You see that it's got a little bit more of a crazier effect. And there's more felt tip lines. So that's cool. And the smoothness is on 1, so if we put it, let's say, to 2, let's see what that looks like. And you'll see it's going off these edge lines and working off the algorithm, and so it's working off all the edges that it could render and see and through the algorithm and stuff. Like I said, I'm not no expert on the exact code that goes through here. I know the basics and the basics of how it works. So if you see how it's the fractals or the felt pen is coming out of all these edges. Basically, it's the smoothness of that algorithm that's bouncing off of these edges and everything that the algorithm can see. So more smooth means less fractals and more darker lines. So we'll go and put this on, let's say 0.5, and let's check and see how that looks. And now you see that there's more sprouting out from these edge lines that the algorithm is picking up, and so the fractals, there's more fractals and more dotted shading. And I actually learned this dotted shading stuff in was it 8th grade, I believe, and it's a pretty cool effect. You can make some amazing things. As a matter of fact, I specialized in school. I won a couple awards for doing this dot shading with remaking baseball cards. So, but anyways, so that's a cool look. So we got 0.5, and then opacity, of course, is if we turn this all the way to 0, you're not going to see nothing. Turn it to 1, and it's going to be super blown out, which would be black. So we go 0.5, that should be in the middle, and basically it's working its magic, and you're seeing black and white, so it's doing a mask. So we'll go back to 0.1 because there's not so much black and stuff in there, and it's working its magic, and that looks cool. And then your edges, and like I said before, that it's all this stuff is trying to find all the edges that it can here in the image. And so it's on 20, so let's load out a little bit to 40. Check that. So it's not detecting, so the higher you go, the less it detects the edges on here. So if it's the opposite direction, so if we go 10, it should be blown out. Yep, there we go. So on this, it's kind of reverse. So you got the edges that it's detecting, and it's working through all these other settings and working through the algorithm for the edge detect. And then it looks kind of cool, actually. I think I'm going to leave that at 10. And then we got the thickness, which is let's go 6 and blow that out, which is the thickness of the felt pen, or the effect, I should say, the lines. So you see that the dots and stuff got larger. See what it looks like over here. So you can see that it's a lot bigger and it's more blown out. So if we go to 4, let's check out 4. Let's see what that looks like. And 4, you can see it just made them a little bit smaller. And I think I like the effect with it smaller. So I got my output. This is the output mode right here. I got it set to new layers, and then just hit apply and let it do its work. And as you can see, that filter works pretty quickly, at least it does for me. And you can see the result that we got with those settings. So here's the original, and here's after the filter. Original, filter. So it's pretty cool, and it looks like you drew a flower with a pen, and you did some pretty cool dot shading, and so you can fake it. This is a good way to fake it. If you can't draw and stuff like that, but you want to have an appearance of a drawing, um, then you could use this filter, and it turns out awesome. And it's the same for this. I use the same settings as I did for this flower, not this one, but for this one. I use the same settings on these wings here. And I just use this as another example of some of the things that you could do with this, and it looks pretty cool, and it did a really decent effect. So we're gonna go back over here, and we're gonna work on the fractal filter. So I'm gonna go to File, and I'm gonna open the image. And this image is pretty small, uh, and the fractal filter is another one of those slow filters. But we're going to go ahead and go up to Filters, and then Gmic. And you can see how it looks. The felt pen even looks cool on people. So it'd be something to play around with. It's pretty cool. And the Fractalize, like I said, takes a while, so let's let it sit here and do its thing. I'm hoping I could get the same result from last time, but I doubt it because it has some kind of algorithm in there, and I don't think it's the same every time. It's one of them random values, and it's just got the detail level. And yep, it's different than what I did last time, but right here it says click here for detailed description of this filter, which is cool. And there's not a lot of filters in here anymore that has that, but all you got to do is just right click on this and then click on copy URL. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave these settings. The detail level is at 1, and the output mode is on new layers, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit apply on this. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up a browser, and we're going to go ahead and right click, paste and go, and we're going to go check out this filter while that other filter is doing its thing. And if you want to check out Gmic, they got their own thing. It's you can go to gimpchat.com and check out that stuff. And this guy is Ron Nowners. I can't pronounce the name, but it says just a little announcement. He says I added a new toy filter in the Gmic plugin for Gimp located at Artistic Fractalize. It tries to locally deform a Mandelbrot fractal to make it look like your input image. It is a bit CPU intensive for big images, so keep that in mind. The bigger the image, the longer that this filter will take, and this filter does take a little while. And he says although it is parallelized, but it sometimes create quite cool results. Here are some examples. So basically all it is the algorithm to create a Mandelbrot fractal. And like I said, there's only a detail level, so the higher you go, the more detail. The less you go, the less detail on there. So you could, here's some results of what he's done with this. And like I said, if you like this type of stuff, it's pretty cool, but I'm not really into this type of deal. But it does look pretty decent. Let's see. This one right here is a lion. And let's see, any other examples? I can't make out what this is, but it looks like there's somebody in the background with wings. But like I said, you could use this and you could use this to make abstract backgrounds. So that is a use case for it. Let's see here. That's a pretty cool result right there. That one's pretty awesome. This one, it's I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it's somebody's head, and right here where the mouth is, um, it's blown out right there. That's pretty cool. So basically, all it is a filter to create fractals. Let's check and see if this is done. Yep, it's done, and it's not the same, so we'll just go back over here. And so basically, the higher up you go, the more detail, the less you go, the less of the detail level there is. So we're going to go ahead and cancel out of that, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on screen, the fractal layer on screen, and then we're going to take the Amanda layer and we're going to go ahead and duplicate it and move it above the screen layer, and we're going to put this on value, and so that way it just basically kind of makes it black and white. And now we're going to go ahead and create a new layer, and we're going to call this just I, and we're going to go ahead and grab a dark color because we are going to dodge this and kind of make it glow. And the color that I'm using for this is 380E0E. Press OK. And we're going to go over here and we're going to grab our ellipse tool. And I have the fixed aspect ratio ticked 1:1. And we're just going to go and we're going to zoom in here. And I'm zooming in with my middle mouse button. And I'm just going to click and I'm going to drag out this circle to about the size of her eye, and I'm going to try to line it up as good as I can. Move it over just a little, just like that, and I'm going to grab this red color. Oops. I'm going to grab it and I'm just going to drag and drop it on here. And then we are going to go ahead and set this layer to dodge. And you can see it gives this kind of cool like glow effect. And then I'm going to right click and I am going to add a layer mask, white full opacity. Then I'm going to change this to black. Press OK, and I'm going to press Control Shift A to deselect. And I'm going to go over here, make sure I'm clicked on my layer mask, come over here to my brush tool, and make sure that I'm on the right brush. I'm using a soft brush with a hardness of 0.25, and make sure the opacity is all the way up. And let's go ahead and not to do that. Let's go ahead and click right here. I'm just going to click on to where it highlights, and I'm going to just scroll my mouse wheel and scroll this down to 1 pixel, and then we are going to go ahead and just zoom way in here and make sure the opacity is 100%, and we are just going to get rid of all this. Actually, I think I'm going to raise this up to 4 pixels. And we're just going to go around and we're going to erase this off of the eyelid. And since this image is pretty small, you don't have to be super accurate. Just kind of blend it in and make it look good. That looks good to me. I like that. Now we're going to go ahead and duplicate this layer. And we are going to go ahead and make one more new layer, and we're going to name this I.L for I left, and grab our circular ellipse tool one more time and just go over here. And when you do image manipulations, it's the slightest little subtle things that make your image pop. A lot of people think that you got to do a lot of changes to an image to make it look good. That's not true. The subtle changes, in my opinion, make it look awesome. And which changing the eye color, that's not really a subtle deal. But for this image, since we used the value filter and it made it kind of black and white, I thought it would look really good. But when this fractalized, it was yellow and it made it a little bit more black and white, but that's okay. This will work. And we're going to go ahead and grab that red color one more time, and then just grab it from here and just drag and drop it, and then put it on dodge, and then go ahead and right click and add a layer mask to this side, and then Control Shift A to deselect, and then grab your paintbrush tool. And then let's just zoom in here, and you can see that this is a low res image. You can see it's really pixelated when you get zoomed really way in there. And let's just go ahead and get this red off of her eyelid. And actually, this being pretty low res kind of works to our advantage, because although you want to be as accurate as you can be, we could get away with not being super accurate and it's still looking awesome. And then we're going to duplicate this layer. So now she's got some super cool looking eyes. And the next thing we are going to do is we are going to make a vignette. So we'll just make a new layer. Actually, hold on there. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Layer, New from Visible, and then make a new layer. And make a vignette layer. So we're going to go to Tools and GEGL operation, and we're going to go down to Vignette. And we are going to turn this radius way down, and the softness we're going to turn way up. Let's do to 1, and let's mess with this radius on this vignette. We're going to be doing a super vignette on here on this one. Just kind of want it to just kind of draw your eye into her. So I'm just playing with this radius just a little bit because I want more darkness there. Let's mess with the squeeze a little bit, but I don't want it down all the way like that. I want a little bit of her hair in there, and I want to see that fractalize filter in the background there. So let's zoom back and see how that looks, and I think that will do. So I got the radius at 1.03, softness at 1, gamma at 2, proportion at 1, squeeze at 0.01, x at 0.5, y at 0.5, and rotation at 0. Just press OK. And now we're going to click on this video visible layer, and we are going to click on new layer, and we're going to name it D and B for dodge and burn. Press OK, and we're going to grab a 50% gray color, and it is 808080, and we are just going to drag and drop it, and then we are going to put it on overlay just like that. And now here's where you make the effect pop. So if I go to this dodge and burn, see if I click on it, I doubt you guys could see that, but you can see I dodged and burned it quite a bit. So if I turn this off, you'll see. And it's real subtle with the dodge and burn. You could ruin a image with the dodge and burn tool, because you could I could take this dodge and burn tool and I could reshape her whole face if I wanted to, but that's not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to make some things pop. So we'll go back over here on this dodge and burn layer, and we will we'll click on the dodge and burn tool and go down here to type, make sure it's on dodge. We're going to start off with dodge, and then the range, let's put it on midtones. And I don't know why it was on shadows to begin with. And we are going to turn the weight down, or not the weight, the exposure, I'm sorry. I got the exposure set right here. We're going to turn this up to 15 on the exposure. And we want to use a super low opacity, so 13 should be fine. And I'm using a size of 4 right here. And like I said, we want subtlety. So we're going to go right in here and we're going to work on these little highlights on her eyes. So all you're going to do is just click over it a couple times and make sure you don't go too super bright. We want to start off with a low opacity, and then you could work your way up. Because like I said, just trust me, if you haven't used dodge and burn that much, you could totally ruin an image with these tools. And you don't want the highlights to look blown out either. So as you can see, it's subtle, but it's working. I want a little bit more on there. And I will try to hurry this part along, because I know this part gets boring to watch. But I just want to show you guys how I use that effect to achieve this effect. So that in that eye, that looks good to me. So let's go over here to this left eye and work on this left eye. And like I said, you just go over it a few times. And I am clicking and then dragging and then clicking and dragging a bunch of times. I'm doing it super fast, that way the effect builds up on the image. Let's zoom out here. I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom out. I want a little bit more on this eye, so I'm just going to go and work this highlight here a little bit more. and zoom out, and you can see that that already is making the image pop. I don't know if you can see it in the video too well, but if you do this yourself, you will see what I'm talking about. And that looks good to me. And now we're going to take this little highlight under her eye, and we're just going to run over it a few times. And this is going to add a slight little glow down here to her eye. We're just going to do it a few times, and then zoom out and take a look at it. And then let's go over here to the left eye and do it over here. Excuse me, sorry about that. Just working it in here. I think I did that side a little bit. Oh no, that looks good right there. Like I said, I don't know if you could tell it in the video. Let me maybe zoom in a little bit more. And I'm using my middle mouse button to pan. But you see there it adds that slight highlight down there. And we're just gonna go over with this tool to with the dodge tool to just bring out some of these highlights, make them pop. There's a little highlight under her eyeball right here. Just gonna work this a little bit. Make that pop out a little bit here. There's some over here on this eye. Just working that a little bit. Cool. And then now we're just gonna these highlights of her hair, we're just gonna raise the brush size to 20, and we're gonna raise this opacity to 15, and we're just gonna stroke over the image. Let me see what, yeah, the opacity is 15 down there. Let me see here. Okay, that's working good. And we're just gonna run over these lighter parts of her hair and make them pop a little. And I'm going in the same direction as the hair flows, so just keep that in mind. Just trying to make these pop a little bit more, bring more life to this image. And like I said, I do apologize. I know this is probably going to be a longer tutorial, but that's the point of these tutorials. I want to teach you guys some of my tips and tricks on what I do, and hopefully help you guys become better artists in any field that you want to work. And my favorite thing, instead of working with raw photos and stuff like that, I mean, I work with them and stuff, but my favorite thing is to do image manipulations, because I think it is totally awesome to take 2D images and make some pretty cool stuff with it, even though I do incorporate some 3D elements into my workflow. I'm going to raise this size up here to, I don't know, let's say 40, and I'm just going to go over these with a big brush real quick. And over here with the big brush on this hair, and I'm going to slightly get that back there, make this one pop, and then I'm going to lower the size back down to 20, and just get in here a little, and then get this little highlight here and here, brighten this up a little bit, run it down through here, and let's go ahead and turn this off and turn it on. You see how much more, let me zoom in a little bit here. See how much more that makes that image pop? I mean, it just makes it look so much better. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tick on burn, and we are going to, we'll leave these settings right here, and we'll see how this works out. And we're going to come in here and we're going to burn, I'm sorry, I said click right here. We're going to click on the burn type right here, or you could just leave it on dodge and just hold control, but I don't like doing that. So we're just going to go through all the dark parts of the image now, and we're going to darken them up a little bit, but we're going to do it subtly. If you put that on too high of a setting, you're going to get some bad results. And you can do this with very light, not very light, but with a black with a very, very low opacity too. You can paint this on. You don't have to use the dodge and burn tool. So if you use dodge, you'll use a white color on very low opacity, and then burn tool, you'll use black on a very low opacity. But I would rather use the dodge and burn tool. It's just my personal preference. And then let's make this brush smaller and get in here under these eyes. And I will show you what this looks like here in a minute. It's going to be super subtle, but I wanted to darken these areas up to draw a little bit more attention to her eyes. And we're going to run it through her eyebrows a little bit, just to darken them up a little. And let's zoom out a little bit and take a look. Let's go down here and let's put this on shadows. And let's get in here in these shadows a little bit, and let's put this opacity up to 20. And let's get in here and let's darken some of these shadows up in here. "20 might be too much. Let me take a look. Yeah, 20 is too much. So we'll go back down to 15. And we'll just go back through these darker spots. And get in here in this corner of this eye. Back in here in this corner of this eye. Run back through these eyebrows. Let's raise the size of the brush to about 20. And like I said, it's subtle and we're just working the effect up. Get this bottom shadow under her lip down here. Let's darken that up a little bit more. And run it down the side of her nose a little. Side of her head over here. Darken these shadows up just a little bit. I want to make under her eyes a little bit more darker right here in these darker spots. Then I'm going to zoom in here. Oops, whoa. Zoom in here and lower this brush to about 4 or 5 pixels. And then I'm just going to darken up the topper parts of this eyeball here and down here in the tear duct. Then just run it up through there. Come to this tear duct, zoom way in here and get the dark parts of this eyeball here. Just kind of darken it and draw your eyes in a little bit more to her eyes. Zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to click back on dodge real quick and go back to midtones, and I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to work on this highlight across her lip a little. And go back to shadows, burn, and work in these corners over her mouth a little bit. Work this slight shadow under here just a little bit more. On this nose. And zoom out. And check that out. Bam. I don't know if you guys can notice that right here, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom out, turn it off, turn it back on, turn it off, turn it back on. See how much better that makes her face look? And that is it, guys. So that's a final result, and I went into a little bit of photo touch-up there. If you guys would like to see more raw photo touch-up, just let me know, shoot me a line in the comments, and I will be happy to do them for you. I can do that stuff. I know how to do all that stuff. It's just, like I said, I like photo manipulation, so that's what I've been sticking to unless I get requests to do something different. But anyways, so I hope you guys liked this Gmic. I call them Gmic shorts, but most of them end up being longer because I like explaining them and stuff like that. Some people, I guess, don't like the way I explain things or something because they shoot some dislikes sometimes. But that's all good. We're all people and everybody has their own opinion. So I'm just going to come up in here and I'm going to darken this up here real quick. Sorry, I could do this all day, but I could spend hours on just dodging and burning a image. Go back to dodge, midtones. Let's raise that quality back up there. Let's raise this brush back. Oops, not the opacity. The brush. And I just want to lighten up here just a tad bit more. And then if you wanted to get real technical, I'm not going to do it here, but sorry about that. I'm not going to do it here, but you could go ahead and get a white color and then get your paintbrush and you could draw in some highlights and stuff like that. But I do hope you guys enjoyed these Gmic shorts. If you have a request, a type of tutorial that you'd like, just leave me a line in the comments or go to my website and I have a comment section on there. And I hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe for tons more tutorials and have a good day.